A group of Boy Scouts were camping in the woods when, late at night, they started hearing strange noises echoing from a nearby field. At first they assumed it was just an animal. Curious, they began scanning the area with a camera. That's when they saw it. Two bright reflective eyes staring back at them from the darkness. Something was crouched in the tall grass. Fortunately, whatever they spotted never came closer. It stayed hidden in the field, and the scouts made it through the night safely. But the question remains, what was watching them from the darkness? In July 2001, another 13-year-old Boy Scout named Cody Clawson became separated from his troop during a camping trip near Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming. The group was staying at Camp Lull when Cody was helping carry supplies from a nearby parking area. At some point, he took a wrong turn and quickly lost his bearings in the dense wilderness. As he continued walking, trying to find his way back, he only got more lost. By the time anyone realized he was missing, a large search operation was quickly launched. Rescue teams, volunteers, and aircraft began scanning the rugged terrain. Meanwhile, Cody was alone in the wilderness for more than 18 hours, facing cold temperatures, rain, and even nearby wildlife. At one point, he took shelter in a small cave to get through the night. But the next day, he remembered something from his Boy Scout training. Using his belt buckle, he reflected sunlight toward a helicopter flying overhead. That flash caught the pilot's attention. The helicopter moved in closer and spotted him. The pilot turned out to be actor Harrison Ford, who had volunteered for search and rescue missions in the area. He helped locate Cody and safely bring him out of the wilderness. 3 Girl Scouts were posing for a photo, smiling directly at the camera as the picture was taken. Everything about the moment seemed completely normal. It wasn't until later that something unusual was noticed. Behind them, barely visible at first, a faint face appeared in the background. The face didn't match anyone in their group. Some believe it could be a trick of light or shadow, creating the illusion of a face where there is none. But others wonder if it could be something more, something connected to the history of that location. Maybe someone who once lost their life there. So what was really captured in that photo? A Reddit user named neckadorable5870 uploaded a short clip after accidentally recording a video instead of a photo while hiking alone with their dogs near a historical trail south of Athens, Georgia, along the Oconee River. In the recording, a strange noise can be heard briefly before it cuts out. It was loud, yet neither the user nor their dog reacted to it at the time, which makes it even more unusual. The source remains unclear and leaves the user unsettled. A group was hiking through the forest when they spotted something in the distance.
No. What?
They stayed quiet and started recording. Of course, the footage turned out to be blurry, but if you look closely, you can see a large, upright figure moving between the trees. Some interpret footage like this as potential evidence of an unknown creature, while others argue it could simply be a misidentified person or a known animal seen under poor visibility conditions. On a hiking trip in western Wyoming, a 13-year-old Boy Scout named Garrett Hunter became separated from his group while trekking through a remote mountain area. The group was on a multi-day 50-mile hike in the Wind River Range near Pinedale, a rugged and challenging environment. Garrett was last seen around mid-morning as the group continued along the trail. At some point, he was no longer with them. It's unclear exactly when or how he became separated. When he didn't return, a large search operation was launched. Dozens of rescuers, volunteers, and K9 teams combed through the mountainous terrain, facing difficult conditions and growing concern as time passed. Garrett, who had some basic supplies like a sleeping bag, food, and a water filter, was alone in the wilderness for nearly 2 days. Then, early Monday morning, searchers finally found him, alive and, remarkably, in good condition. He stayed with rescuers until it was safe to bring him out. Even now, it's not fully clear how he became separated in the first place. But it's incredible this situation didn't end much worse. On October 26, 2021, YouTuber Another German Lost in the Canadian Wilderness uploaded a video documenting a remote expedition through northern Labrador. The man and his friend were deep in one of the most isolated regions in Canada, roughly 140 miles from the nearest town, with no immediate access to help. After completing a supply drop during a portage, they were walking back across a hill to retrieve more gear. That's when a black bear was suddenly spotted standing a short distance behind them.
A voyageur has daily fights with the bugs. A voyageur always loses these fist fights.
That's pretty good.
We had a few good ones over the last few days.
Yeah. Where's this boat?
I don't know. A voyageur is always looking for his boat. Oh, a voyageur carries his canoe as much as it's carrying him.
Yes.
Whew. A voyageur always gets eaten by the bugs. Oy, oy, oy. That's pretty good already, I guess.
Not bad.
Whoa, 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 bear, bear.
Whoa!
Hey! Nope. Hey, 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 go. Go, bear. Go. Hey! Hey, go, bear. Hey, go, bear. Hey! Hey, get going. Bear! Should we walk towards it? I don't think so. Hey!
They attempted to back away while yelling to scare the animal off. With no backup and no shelter nearby, the situation became critical in seconds. Unfortunately, the video ends right there with no further updates, but I'm sure they made it out safely. A trail camera owner returned to the woods to collect his device after leaving it recording overnight. When he reviewed the images, he noticed something unusual in the sequence. In the first frame, a faint pale shape appeared at the edge of the image. In the next, the figure had moved further into view. Its body didn't match typical human proportions. The head was tilted to the side, revealing a skull-like shape that some described as almost alien in appearance. A hoax, a distorted image, or something more mysterious. On April 6, 2026, a family participating in an Easter egg hunt at a public park in Long Beach, California, made a disturbing discovery near Forest Park. Partially buried in the dirt, among areas where children had been searching for eggs just moments earlier, they found what appeared to be a small human skull. Investigators arrived and cordoned off sections of the park with crime scene tape. Authorities later recovered additional remains and transported them to a forensic science center for examination, while trying to determine how long they had been there. Early reports suggested the remains may belong to a child, though identification was still underway. Hopefully, there will be answers soon. A group of people were out riding their snowmobiles when they suddenly came across something ahead of them. Standing directly in their path, a massive bison. They carefully tried to pass from the side, hoping not to provoke it. But suddenly, the bison's posture changed. For a brief moment it charged, but just as quickly as it started, the bison stopped, giving them just enough time to create distance. Unfortunately, they were able to escape the situation safely. This group was out along the dark hedges near Armory, Ireland, taking photos of the surroundings when something unusual appeared in one of the shots. Looking back at the image, a faint figure could be seen along the path. Local legends speak of a grey lady said to wander this road, believed by some to be the spirit of a maid from a nearby estate who died under mysterious circumstances centuries ago. The image was later examined by photographer Kevin McCauley, who stated that there were no clear signs of digital manipulation. So was it a trick of light between the trees, or the Grey Lady herself? A comedian known as Big D Ray 83 on TikTok was streaming live while standing on a rural property filled with old scrap vehicles and open dirt roads. He was casually talking with a friend on stream when this happened.
It's an old motor right there.
Nah, them trash.
A dark shape suddenly streaked across the dirt road in the background. It happened fast enough that it almost didn't register at first glance. Both the streamer and the people with him immediately noticed it, shouting and pointing toward the road in confusion. When the stream shifted toward the area, there was nothing there.
Who that was running through there like Usain Bolt, man?
Maybe it was a vehicle in the distance, distorted by perspective and low light. But the shape looks too small and too upright for any normal car or bike. It just looks off. On August 20th, 2004, 12-year-old Garrett Bardsley was on a Boy Scout camping trip with his father and troop in the Uinta Mountains of Utah, near Kuberant Lake. The group had been fishing early that morning when Garrett got his shoes and socks wet and decided to walk back to camp to change. It was a short distance, only about 100 yards, but he never arrived. When his father returned not long after, Garrett was gone, and no one at the campsite had seen him pass through. What followed was one of the largest search efforts ever conducted in that area. Hundreds of volunteers, search and rescue teams, helicopters, and tracking dogs combed the rugged terrain for days. But despite the scale of the operation, no trace of him was ever found. No footprints, no clothing, no signs of a struggle, nothing. Investigators believe the most likely explanation is that Garrett became disorientated and wandered into the dense wilderness, where steep terrain, thick forest, and sudden weather changes can quickly become dangerous, even over a short distance. The Uinta Mountains are known for their remote, unforgiving landscape, with dense underbrush, hidden drop-offs, and wildlife like black bears and mountain lions, all of which can complicate searches. Still, the complete lack of evidence, especially so close to the camp, has left many people unsettled. Garrett was never found, and his disappearance remains unsolved to this day. A field researcher known as Walla Walla Bigfoot on Reddit shared a witness video recorded in August 2024 near Jubilee Lake in the Blue Mountains of Oregon. The person who recorded it described hearing strange noises coming from the area that year, adding that multiple people had reported similar encounters nearby. Mountain lions, bobcats, and other known wildlife in the region were discussed in the comments, along with comparisons to recorded animal calls from similar environments. Still, no clear identification of the sound was made. A Reddit user named Milad Hussein was hiking through a wooded area in Virginia when they stepped slightly off the main trail, searching for a place to camp. That's when they found odd markings carved into a tree stump. The symbols looked intentional, almost like they were placed there for a reason, so he posted it on Reddit, asking if anyone recognized them. Commenters suggested they resembled hobo symbols, a kind of coded system historically used by traveling workers in the early 1900s to communicate with each other. These markings could signal things like safe place, danger nearby, or food available, often left in subtle places along routes. Some even said the one on the left, marked like a tic-tac-toe board, means unsafe. And the one on the right, with 2 arrows and a circle, means get out fast. Finding something like that hidden off trail, deep in a quiet forest, definitely does feel unsafe. A Reddit user named Cheap Category 4357 was exploring a remote, hard-to-reach area in the Ute Mountains near San Diego. He often checks out unusual spots he finds on maps, and this location was especially isolated, about a 15-minute drive from any main roads, followed by a 5 to 10 minute hike past a closed gate. While moving off trail, he came across something deeply unsettling. Under a tree, there was a scattered collection of around 20 school backpacks, along with clothing like jackets, socks, and underwear. There were also bottles of aspirin and other unidentified pills on the ground, and in nearby areas, signs that items had been burned. The clothes and backpacks were spread across the area, as if everything had been deliberately dropped or abandoned rather than simply lost. The backpacks themselves were mostly empty, aside from some papers and small debris. Given how remote the location was, too far to walk easily from any stores, and nearly impossible to reach by car without serious off-road capability, the scene didn't make much sense as a typical campsite. After sharing the discovery, the user contacted authorities and was told that the Ute Mountains are known as a crossing area for immigrants. Some pointed out the presence of labeled medication like aspirina, commonly found in Mexican packaging, could suggest a connection to migrants passing through the area. A photographer named Leo Frank captured a photo years ago during a hike. The creature looks unusually large, with a height estimated by Frank to be at least 7 feet. The overall appearance sits somewhere between human and something more primitive. It has led some to connect it with folklore descriptions of wild men, or even Bigfoot-like beings. Some argue the proportions and facial structure seem too human, suggesting it may not be an unknown species at all. Still, the uncertainty remains. The image does not clearly confirm any single explanation, leaving room for multiple interpretations. A hiker captured what is known as the Malayan horned frog. Found in Southeast Asia in places like Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, and Singapore, it already looks unusual with horn-like projections above its eyes. But its most remarkable trait is its camouflage. When it stays still on a forest floor covered in dead leaves, its skin blends in so perfectly that it becomes nearly invisible. The frog is an ambush predator, remaining motionless until insects, smaller frogs, or even small mammals come close enough to strike. So what makes this creature more fascinating? Its appearance, or the fact that it can be right in front of you without ever being seen? Wiretap Chocolate, a user on Reddit, was exploring deep inside Eno River State Park in North Carolina when they came across something carved into a dead tree. As they looked closer, it appeared to show a female figure with a strange spiral pattern. It could simply be someone's artwork or a symbolic carving left behind without meaning. But the combination of the figure and spiral might represent something, possibly tied to symbols or personal rituals. But with no markings, no explanation, and no one around, what was the purpose of that carving? A group of hikers were exploring a cave when they spotted something terrifying and started recording. What they captured appeared to be an enormous spider-like creature. One common explanation is that it could be a large crab, possibly a coconut crab or a similar species. But not everyone agreed, pointing out differences in the leg structure and the way it moved. After being filmed, the creature crawled out of sight, leaving not just the hikers wondering, what was that? 2 tourists were preparing to climb Mount Everest when they were warned about something unexpected before their journey even began. It wasn't the weather or the altitude, but a possible scam. According to reports from Nepali authorities, some climbers have been intentionally made ill during expeditions. Food or medication is allegedly used to trigger symptoms that justify emergency helicopter evacuations. Once evacuated, the climbers are taken to hospitals, and the rescue is billed to their insurance, often at highly inflated costs. It's claimed that profits are then shared between guides, pilots, and medical facilities. Between 2022 and 2025, thousands of tourists were reportedly treated at hospitals linked to these cases. Some climbers have even reported seeing helicopters prioritizing those who could pay immediately, rather than those in serious conditions. Authorities say arrests have been made. Reddit user Outrageous Concern 17 was heading home from work when he filmed something that creeped him out. Take a look. It showed a mouse running hysterically in tight circles. The animal appeared disorientated, moving in a constant loop for several minutes. The user suggested it could be neurological issues or poisoning, but it was still disturbing to witness, especially in the middle of the night. Can you understand? On February 8, 1970, A 16-year-old Boy Scout named Jeffrey Hague was hiking with his group in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. As they made their way along the trail toward the newfound Gap parking area, Jeffrey told the others to continue ahead while he stopped to rest. It was the last time anyone saw him. When the group reached their destination, he never arrived. Search efforts began quickly, with hundreds of rescuers, including trained teams and military personnel, combing the rugged terrain. Days later, searchers made a strange discovery. His belongings, including his pack and supplies, had been neatly placed on a rock in a shallow mountain stream. Not long after, his body was found less than half a mile away. Investigators later determined that Jeffrey had left the main trail and traveled downhill, likely trying to find his way out. He had wandered through difficult terrain, possibly becoming disorientated, before ultimately succumbing to exposure in freezing conditions. Evidence suggested he had even attempted to climb back toward the trail, but never made it. While some details, like the placement of his belongings, have raised questions over the years, search teams concluded there was no sign of foul play. Instead, it appears to have been a tragic case of disorientation in harsh conditions, where even a small decision can lead to deadly consequences. On March 1st, 2026, a man working deep in the Appalachian Mountains stopped late at night to refuel his excavator in a remote clearing. As he began pouring fuel, he got the shock of his life. A sudden scream echoed through the trees. Moments later, it came again. Louder, closer. Panic set in. In a moment of fear, he threw the gas can toward the darkness and rushed back into the excavator, slamming the door shut. The recording ended shortly after, and whatever made that sound was never seen. A group of scouts were inside a vehicle in a safari park when, nearby, a massive tiger approached the back of a car.
It's going to bite it out. Oh my god, it's screaming!
The tiger grabbed onto the rear bumper with its jaws and began pulling, trying to tear it away. The video ends shortly after, leaving the outcome unknown. But why was this tiger so focused on the car? For more scouting encounters, watch this next video.